Welcome to the first video of this course. In this video, we'll be seeing the fundamentals of VBScript. So I've created a test in UFT and I've noted down for certain questions that we'll be discussing as a part of this video. The first problem statement is how do we add a comment in VBScript. So if I want to add a multi-line comment in VBScript, all I have to do is select my piece of code. Let's say this is my piece of code and press Control M. Control M will add a multi-line comment in VBScript. And if I want to uncomment a piece of code, I have to just say Control Shift M. This will uncomment my complete piece of code, that the complete selected area. If I want to add a single line comment, let's say I want to comment line number 3, I have to just add a apostrophe in front of my in front of my statement. It will get commented. Also, there is a preserved keyword in VBScript which helps to add comment, that is known as rem. Now let's move ahead to the second problem statement, and that is how is a variable declared in VBScript. In order to declare a variable in VBScript, there is a preserved keyword provided by VBScript, and that is known as dim. You have to just write dim in front of any variable and then declare the variable. This is how a variable is declared in VBScript. Now the third question is, what is a variable? So we can say a variable is a named memory location which stores some value. What does that mean when I say dim x? So what actually happens in memory is a memory location is booked for the variable x, and the address of memory location is passed into this variable x. So x holds the address of memory location. Let's say in this case, when we said dim x, the memory location with the address of 1001 was booked for this particular variable. So x will hold 1001 in this case. So, and that is why it's very safe to say that a variable is a named memory location. Now the fourth statement is, how do we take input in input? Let's say I want to take some input from user in my script. How do I take that in VBScript? So for that, let's declare a variable and let's ask user for some input. Dim y, and I can, so the keyword is input box. Input box is the function which helps us to get input from the user, and then you have to provide your message. Let's say I want to get the name of the user, get a name from the user. So I'll say please provide the first name. So as soon as this statement will executed, what will happen is a dialog box will be displayed, and onto which you will be seeing an edit box area where you can enter the name and then press OK. The moment I press enter something and press OK, that value will be assigned to this variable y. Now how to print the out? Now we know how to take the input from a user. Now if I want to print the output that user has provided, or any other value that a variable is holding, how can I do that? I can do that with the help of a inbuilt function that is known as message box. All I need to do is I need to say message box and then give the variable name. So in this case, if I say message box y, what will happen is whatever input user has provided in the above statement number 16, that will be printed here. Let's say user provided me with a string Canada. So here that will be displayed to me as a output. So what message box does, it displays me output again in the form of a dialog box. So unless until I click OK, your execution will not move ahead. If I want to print the output on a console, I have a print statement also available here. So I can say print y. This will not stop my execution, but print the output on console and the execution will carry on. Now a very important interview question is VBScript a case sensitive language? No, VBScript is not a case sensitive language. All the preserved keyword like input box, message box, dim, whatever we have seen till now, you can write them in any case. Let's say if I want to write message box like this with a mixture of uppercase and lower case, it will give me still the same output. VBScript is not a case sensitive language. Now again, a very fundamental and a very important question, this is very often asked in interviews, is how many types of data type are there in VBScript? So primarily in VBScript there is only one fundamental data type, and that is known as variant. This is quite a magical kind of data type. So whenever we declare a variable, like with the statement dimx, it always internally gets declared with this data type known as variant. And as soon as you put some value into a variant, let's say I say dim x is equal to 10. Now this will automatically get converted into the date as per the data that you have provided. So in our case we have provided 10, which is an integer. So now the data type will be getting converted to what? A integer. If you assign a string to it, it will become a string data type. Let's see an example. So I say dim z. So here if I go and check the data type of this variable, it will be what? It will be variant. Then as soon as I assign some value to it, let's say I assigned a value 10 to this. Now if I go and check the data type of this variable, what will be printed to me? It will be printed integer. Now since there is only one fundamental data type integer, variant, I am free to allocate whatever value I want to assign into this integer, into this variant. So once I have assigned an integer, now I am free to assign a string to it. VBScript gives that flexibility. And now if I go and print the data type of this variable, it will be string. So this will be z, not x. Then the question comes in mind, then what is string, integer and all this? So these are basically subtypes in VBScript. These are not pure data types. You cannot define a variable with integer or string type. It will always be a variant type, and then as per the value that is assigned to that variant, it gets converted to that particular subtype. So if a string value is assigned, it will get converted to a string data type. If integer is assigned, it will get converted to integer data type. But you cannot declare a variable with a string or integer, this kind of data type. So these are subtypes in VBScript. Now the question is it possible to use a variable without declaring in VBScript? Yes, it is very much possible to use a variable without declaring in VBScript. Since in the question number 3rd or 4th we discussed that how many types of data types are there in VBScript, there is only one fundamental data type, that is known as variant. So it doesn't matter whether you declare it or not. I can directly write a statement like int x is equal to 10 and I start executing the program. The program will throw me no error. If I say message box int x, it will print me 10. Then there is a question, is it possible, then what is option explicit? So option explicit is a predefined keyword in VBScript, which if I write option explicit as a first statement of my program, it will make variable declaration mandatory in my program. So let's say I write option explicit at the top of my program, and as soon as the cursor comes here while execution, it will throw me an error saying that int x is not declared. So all the variables that are used in the program, declaration will be mandatory. The last and a very important question here is, can we fix the data type of a variable? This means like if I want a variable to store only integer values or only string values in VBScript, is that possible? That is very much possible in any other language like Java or C# or .NET, where we initiate the variables with a particular data type. But this is not possible in VBScript. Here we cannot fix the data type of a variable. The variable will always be initiated with a fundamental data type, that is variant, and then as per your usage you can assign multiple values to this variable. Now I would like to add one more important question here is, how can I find the data type of a variable? If I want to know that this variable is currently holding which kind of data? How can I know that? How to know the data type of the variable? So to do this, there is an inbuilt function provided by VBScript that is known as type name. Type name prints me the data type of a variable. So let's say I have a variable dim int data type, will name it as, and let's allocate some value to it, 10, and then allocate some value as a string value, probably Canada. Let's try to do message box type name and then the variable name. So it should print me what? It should print me, in this case it should print me integer, and in this case it should print me a string. So in your program, if it is a requirement that you need to tell the data type, or before comparing two values you want to make sure that they are of same data type, we can use type name function. Let's try to execute this program and see what are the outputs. So first of all, we saw how can we take input from a user in a program. So this is so as soon as the input box function is executed, I see a dialog box. I can enter any value into it. Let's say I entered Canada, and then message box function is used to print the output. And then there was a print y statement which prints the output on the console. No message boxes so shown to me. And then we saw VBScript is a case insensitive language. So even I say message box like this or like this, I get the same output. Then we move ahead and see, is variable declaration mandatory in VBScript? No, it is not mandatory. Here if you see, I have not declared int-x anywhere, and still my code is executing perfectly. Now at the last we saw how to know the data type of a variable. So we can do it with the help of type name function. So here, since this variable is holding an integer right now, it is printing me integer. Now the same variable is holding a string, so it is printing me string.